CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman joins me now. So, Rikki, we know that President Trump had dinner with his lawyer, Michael Cohen, on Saturday night. We know that the former head of the FEC, Trevor Potter, told 60 Minutes that Cohen's $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels could be a violation of campaign finance laws. How would a court weigh whether or not that was the case?
Well, when you're looking at a violation or potential violation of the FEC law, which is the Federal Election Commission law, the FEC has to determine whether or not it is going to go forward and do what it would usually do in that case, which would be administer a civil penalty, which is a fine. In a rare case, they would refer the case to the Department of Justice, in which case you'd have a criminal prosecution. The best example of that, as we know, is John Edwards. That was a big criminal prosecution, but it was not successful. Ultimately, he was acquitted.
And how are those two situations different?
I think that I certainly agree with the expert on 60 Minutes that this case, the Trump and Cohen case, is far more compelling than the John Edwards case is. And why is that? It's about timing. Here, what you have is a non-disclosure agreement, which Michael Avenatti, the lawyer for Stormy Daniels, likes to call the hush money agreement, that was entered into and signed 11 days before the election. Well, it was about something that allegedly happened years and years before. Why suddenly the rush? Well, the Access Hollywood tape had also come out and became the talk of the media, which then preceded the non-disclosure agreement, which then preceded the election. The timing is awfully suspicious.
Well, Rikki, is it typical for an attorney to pay this kind of money, $130,000, on behalf of a client?
No, it's not only not typical. He says that he paid it out of his own pocket. He did it out of the goodness of his heart. Mr. Trump didn't know anything about it, didn't have any reimbursement from Mr. Trump, and at the time he was Mr. Trump rather than President Trump. It is unethical for you to pay a settlement or a fee on behalf of a client if you're a practicing lawyer. So Michael Cohen not only has to worry about the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, he better do some serious thinking about his state of employment with the bar of this city and state of New York. The state of New York does not permit you to do these things.
And what penalties could Cohen face if, in fact, he is found to have violated campaign finance laws?
Well, when we look back at the John Edwards prosecution, we see that there were a number of counts. Each count has a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison.
Well, Stormy Daniels is now suing Michael Cohen for defamation. How do you see that playing out?
Well, what happened was Stormy Daniels had filed a lawsuit for a declaratory judgment action. And that was to say, please tell me, Judge, can I go forward and speak about this non-disclosure agreement? What her lawyer has now done is added a count to that original complaint. And what he is now saying is, in addition to wanting declaratory judgment, which was simply an order, no money involved, what he is now saying is, wait a minute, Michael Cohen allegedly defamed my client. How did he do that? Well, he made a public statement earlier this year in which he used language to the effect of, quote, just because something isn't true doesn't mean that it can't cause you harm or damage. And what he was talking about is that if Stormy Daniels had made up this story about Donald Trump, it could still harm Donald Trump. So that was why there was a non-disclosure agreement. By the way, non-disclosure agreements are entered into when you have truthful allegations or when you have false allegations, if someone wants to protect their reputation. But here, the mere uttering of that comment by Mr. Cohen has allowed Stormy Daniels' lawyer to go forward and file this defamation claim, which, of course, brings us back to a courthouse instead of an arbitrator and the public.
All right, so much more to look forward to, I'm sure. More information to come. Rikki Klieman, always great to have your analysis. Thanks so much, Rikki.
Thanks, Elaine.